Did you ever think at work, I can't do this anymore? 8 years ago, I was trapped in a job that made me feel this way every 30 minutes. On paper, I was doing fine, but in reality, I was miserable. 80-hour work weeks, constant exhaustion, I just wanted to quit. And I'm not alone. Nearly 50% of workers say they want to quit their jobs. But why? Are we just a lazy and entitled generation? Or is there a bigger problem? Today, I want to share 3 reasons why nobody wants to work anymore and 3 things I did that helped me take back control that you can do too. Starting with number 1, the big lie. So growing up, I was always taught that hard work pays off, which is why I always grinded at my job. I replied to work emails over the weekend, I came in early, I left late. I did this for a very long time, all in the name of trying to get a promotion. And then one day, I just found out that my coworker, who by all measures was terrible at his job, got promoted instead. And I'm sure this had nothing to do with it, but coincidentally, he was an old family friend of the boss. And for the longest time, I was like, yo, this is really messed up. This is not fair. Why is this happening to me? But then I came across a study that shows how worker productivity and pay growth changed over time. So since the 1940s, workers got more productive and they got paid more, which is fair. But then in 1979, all that changed. Workers were working harder than ever before, but they stopped being rewarded for it. So when older folks and bosses complain that nobody wants to work anymore, understand that they worked during the workers' golden age where they actually got paid for their effort. Nowadays, it just feels like a slap in the face that hard work counts for nothing when promotions and raises depend more on who you know than what you can do. Which brings us to the second reason why nobody wants to work anymore, and it's because of bosses like this, who said Gen Z job seekers should be willing to work for free, long hours, and willing to do anything. Last I checked, that was illegal. Unfortunately, toxic work environments are way more common than you think. A 2023 study found that 75% of workers have experienced a toxic work culture, and 87% agree that it negatively impacts their mental health, which is something that I know a bit too well. And the reason I'm smiling when I say this is because it's over now. But I don't know if you've ever experienced burnout, but it is horrible. It's kind of like this random switch that just gets flipped in the back of your head. Basically, I was exhausted for months, and then all of a sudden, I would just stop caring, right? Or like I was paralyzed, right? I just couldn't do anything, right? Of course, I did the bare minimum, enough to keep my job, but there were times when I would just stare at the computer screen. And I remember making these like to-do lists in my notebook that just kept on perpetually getting longer and longer because I would never finish any of the tasks on it. And then the absolute worst part of it is out of nowhere, I got absolutely wrecked. I got sick, I got the flu, cold virus, or whatever virus that lasted almost 3 weeks. And I was basically incapacitated. And in retrospect, it was probably just my body shutting myself down, physically forcing myself to stop working and to actually just recover and take care of myself. And even if you don't have a boss that screams at you or is very overtly a toxic workplace, you've probably worked longer hours than you were technically supposed to, either because you were scared of losing your job or you were just trying to get a raise or a promotion. And that brings us to the third and probably the most common reason on why nobody wants to work anymore: money. So the interesting thing is, on paper, income and wages and salaries has been growing steadily for decades now. Like, you're probably earning more money than your parents did when they were working at the same age, even accounting for inflation, which sounds pretty great, right? Like, yay. But then you start to wonder, like, why are you struggling to pay off your student loans, or why are you struggling to buy a house when your parents were able to do it on minimum wage? The reason is, and pardon my French, just gonna double check it, it's getting more expensive and you're not actually getting paid more. So this is the cost of thriving index, which basically shows how many days a typical worker needs to work in a given year to earn enough income to cover their major expenses for like a family of 4, right? There's food, there's healthcare, transportation, and education. In 1985, the average major expenses for a family of 4 was around $13,227. According to this, the typical male worker needed to work about 30 weeks to cover this cost. But in 2018, and now in 2025, it's probably even worse, the average major living expenses now cost $54,441, and the typical male worker has to work 53 weeks to cover this cost. And unfortunately, there are only 52 weeks in a year. The point is, even though your income is going up on paper, it's not going up as much as it should relative to how much more expensive it's gotten to live. For example, one thing that's gotten a lot more expensive recently is your cell phone bill. But thankfully, this isn't the case with today's sponsor, Helium Mobile. Helium Mobile is the only carrier that offers free 5G cell phone service, meaning you can immediately save hundreds of dollars every month. Helium Mobile has a new Zero plan that gives you 3 gigabytes of 5G data, 100 minutes of calls, and 300 texts each month for free, so you don't have to worry about high phone bills anymore. And if you're always streaming or texting and you need more, don't worry. Helium Mobile's got you. At just $15 a month, you can get 10 gigs of 5G data, unlimited calls, and texts with their Air plan, or just $30 a month, you can get unlimited everything with their Infinity plan. Plus, they use a nationwide 5G network, so you'll always have coverage. The best part is you can earn points called Cloud Points to redeem for gift cards for things like Airbnb stays, Uber rides, Apple products, and more. All you gotta do for these points is use your phone and share anonymized location data to help improve Helium Mobile's network coverage. So if you're ready to save hundreds of dollars each month, check out Helium Mobile with the link below. Download the app and use promo code Vincent to instantly get $10 in cloud points when you sign up for these plans. Thanks again to Helium Mobile for sponsoring this video. Alright, so what does this tell us, right? Based on everything I've seen, I think it's less about people not wanting to work anymore and more about people just not being able to monetarily or emotionally afford to. If it's not the lack of pay, the long work hours, or unrealistic expectations, then it is the toxic work culture. So that brings the question of what can you do about it? And this is something that I've spent a long time thinking about this part of the video because this is a topic that is very close to me because I literally lived it. So I wanted to share 3 things I did that helped me take back control of my life so that you can do it too. But the first thing you need to understand is that at its core, the reason you feel trapped and you feel overwhelmed and exhausted at work all boils down to one thing: financial flexibility. You see, the reality is having some sort of flexibility transforms how you perceive your job. Like right now you feel helpless because you depend on your paycheck. But when you have financial options, your relationship with work starts to shift from dependency to a choice, which kind of creates like a psychological freedom because you feel more confident to negotiate pay or to walk away completely. So here are the 3 things I did that helped me. Number 1, before you do anything, one of the most liberating feelings you can have is having an emergency fund that covers 6 to 12 months of your essential expenses. Because you know that even if you lose your job or if you quit or something happens, you're gonna be fine, right? You're gonna have time, you're gonna be able to afford to find another job in that time frame. And if you're trying to build your emergency fund, I recommend 3 things. Number 1, short-term sacrifice for long-term peace of mind. Like I stayed at my job for longer than I wanted to, despite burning out multiple times because my salary was paying for me to build out this emergency fund so that I can afford that flexibility. Number 2, don't save. So for example, if your goal is to save $10,000, I don't want you to save $10,000. You see, the problem of having such a large savings goal right off the bat is that it's not realistic. Instead, I want you to think about how would you go about eating 10,000 slices of pizza? The only answer is 1 slice at a time. So I want you to approach it just like the pizza slices, right? Break down your $10,000 goal because saving $10,000 broken down is just saving $27.39 a day for a year, which sounds a lot more achievable. And number 3, after reading a bunch of comments, thousands of comments of people saying that they're struggling with saving money, I decided to create a free 1K savings challenge. It's basically a 5-day free challenge where I teach you how to save 1K within 30 days, within a month, without feeling overwhelmed or having to live on ramen and beans. So if you're interested, it's 100% free. You can join by clicking the link down in the description. All right, so number 2, you need to realize that to truly achieve financial flexibility, you need to think about both sides of the money equation. Income minus expenses equals savings. If you're just focusing on the expenses and savings elements of this, you need to understand that there is a cap to how much money you can save. For example, if your income is, let's say $5K a month, right? And you got your expenses down to $0 because for those 30 days, you're not doing anything other than staring at a wall. So the most amount of money you can save that month is $5,000. So to truly build wealth, you also have to think about the income side of the equation, how you will make more money, but also how can you save a larger percentage of that? So here are 2 things that you should do. So number 1, the easiest way to increase your income is to focus on your current job. And one of my favorite tricks to do this is to aggressively demand and shove in their face that I deserve a raise, right? So what I did was I created this thing called a brag folder where I would just basically drag and drop all my achievements. When people complimented me, they said good job over email, save that email, put it in the brag folder. And then when it came time for my performance review, I presented this brag folder to them. So they had an option. They saw how good of a worker I was based on everyone's input. And then they had the option of giving me the raise, or if not, then I would leave and find a different job. Number 2, start a side hustle. So a recent study found that 41% of Gen Z and millennials say having a side hustle significantly improved their financial wellness. And I'm not saying side hustle culture is the answer to this overall issue, but strategically speaking, right, having multiple streams of income does give you more options and flexibility. All right, so now number 3, while it is important to work towards like your financial flexibility goal, right, you also need to take care of yourself now, because remember, we're in this for the long haul. We're playing the long game, and burnout is very real. So to avoid burning out at work, here are 5 things that I did to survive staying longer at my job. Number 1, start scheduling your personal activities like going to the gym, your hobbies, your family events onto your calendar as non-negotiable appointments, right? Treat them like meetings that you can't miss. And this starts training both you and your workplace, your boss, your coworkers, that your time off is important and that's yours. Number 2, and this is gonna sound absolutely bizarre, but start getting to work and leaving work on time. You need to start developing a strong tendency to work just for the hours you have paid or for the hours that you signed up for. Because if you don't set those boundaries, your boss is gonna be the last person to set them for you. Also, use your pay time off. Those vacation days, those sick days are yours, and they're a part of your compensation package. I've seen way too many people leave their PTO days unused each year because they felt guilty or they were pressured to. That is toxic. And taking regular breaks and vacation actually makes you more productive in the long run and improves your mental health. Next, finish all of the projects that you've already taken on and you committed to, but don't take any new projects that don't pertain to the work that you work on. You want to start easing off slowly and start to give people the impression that you're not someone who has extra free time to pick up unnecessary or extra work anymore, right? Because you are working so hard, right? You're so dedicated to your actual work and your actual job description. Number 4, and this plays perfectly with the last one, start overstating just how much effort is required for your work, okay? Give yourself lots and lots of breathing room so that no one thinks that your high quality work is effortless, okay? You really want to start describing everything you work on as an agonizing experience. Next, update your resume and start discreetly looking for another job or start networking. Even if you don't actually want to switch to another job, doing this gives you more power psychologically speaking, because you know that you have other options or you are pursuing other options. Plus, switching jobs is one of the fastest ways to get a raise in today's market. So I mentioned that it all boils down to having financial flexibility. But one thing that a lot of people miss and they don't realize is that in order to do this, you need to optimize your paycheck routine. Because the order of which your money flows and goes to after you get paid actually matters. So if you are serious about achieving financial flexibility, check out this video where I show you the best paycheck routine that you can start following today.